Hello, my name is Justine and I'm with the Ring of Democracy. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization that has come together in order to engage, educate, organize, and mobilize Black and Brown communities, especially marginalized communities overall. And one way that we are doing that is by informing voters as the election draws near. We have with us today a candidate who's going to speak about his platform. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
For sure. And you're Santiago Morales Jr.,
Yes.
and you're running for City Council District 5.
Yes.
All right. So why don't you share a little bit about why you've decided to run for this position and what voters can expect?
Well, the reason I'm running is because I see a great need in my community. I was born and raised here. I graduated from, down the street from where I live, Luther Burbank High School, graduated from there. I've been married to my high school sweetheart for almost close to 30 years now. I've raised 4 kids in this community and always been looking to help the public, and that's where I work right now in the public sector. But the reason why I'm running is because I see a great need. I see my neighbors struggling with housing issues, with the increase in costs of everything from gas to food to all these little things that we're doing. I also see how rundown our parks are getting, the homeless issue, how it's getting out of control and no improvement. When I did run back in 2020, right before COVID started for District 8, because our lines kind of realigned and I was moved to District 5. But when I did run last time, our city of Sacramento was probably about $20 million deficit, and it's grown in the past 5 years to over $66 million deficit. And I see City Council coming up with ideas of how to increase taxes to make up for the difference. I think that we can look at other things, other cities as examples of what we can do to help our city. And look at different ideas to really get Sacramento back on track to where we were and overall help our city. And that's what I think I can do. My experience being working for the state for over 15 years, I'm an analyst right now, a government analyst, and I look at budgets, budget change proposals, I analyze. I make sure that the programs that I do work stay balanced and are in a good budget standing, and I think I can do that for the city.
I see. Thank you very much. Jumping off of that point, I saw that you advocated to make sure that programs are being evaluated for real outcomes, especially when it pertains to supporting those who may be homeless in Sacramento and balancing compassion with long-term solutions.
I do have a lot of empathy to the homeless issue. When I was working for the California Student Aid Commission, I worked with a lot of foster youth that were trying to go to college, so working with them with the Chafee Foster Youth Grant, trying to make sure they were eligible, working with them in great detail, all kinds of stuff. And I ran into how the homeless issue that they had and how they struggled to find affordable housing costs. I mean, I think it's great that the current city council is working to create housing units now, but I think it's kind of restrictive to the point where I know off of executive report they're working on one where it's 55 or older. Community for housing, affordable housing, and to help with the homeless issue. I think we need to expand that. I think we need to look at what other cities have done. For example, like Houston, Texas has cut their housing. I believe they've cut it down by over 50% in the past 10 years. I think we can look at other cities as examples of how they've worked their homeless issues and what they've done to help their neighbors in the community. I think we need to look at ideas not just because if they're in a red state or blue state. That's why I'm running as an independent. That I want to be open to all ideas, no matter where they come from, and see if we can fiscally be responsible enough to get a program like that going that will benefit the community without raising taxes or doing some other things that will cost the city even more, and make sure that the money that we do have for homeless issues that is set aside is used properly. I do have empathy for the homeless issue, but we need to make sure the funds are used effectively and not wastefully.
Right. And to clarify again, you mentioned that Houston has cut down their homelessness rates by 50%?
They've done a great job, and there's different ideas out there. That's just one example. I mean, we can look at different cities. I think San Diego and Long Beach have also worked on affordable housing issues. So we can look at other cities to see exactly what they're doing and see if that would fit in. Now, it's not cookie cutter. Every community is different, but we need to really be open to different ideas and not expect our city council. And if I am blessed for the opportunity to be on city council, not say I have every idea under the sun to help. I want to make sure I'm open to different ideas from different community. We have a lot of intelligent people in Sacramento. There are more than one to present their ideas. And we just need to be able to reach out to the community and see what they feel they need in their area as well.
Certainly, right. Community input is very important. And in relation to the homelessness issue, you talked about affordable housing. When it comes to the need for affordable housing, Sacramento is growing rapidly. Lots of people are moving to the area. How do you ensure that development benefits existing communities rather than pricing them out?
That's a good challenge. I mean, we need to find a balance between a new housing that's being built that's higher end, and housing that's for lower income areas as well. I think that's part of the challenge with different districts is that nobody wants the lower end communities put in their area. And we need to find a balance with the other city council members and with the mayor, trying to get them to understand that in order to solve this issue, we all have to take a little bit of the responsibility. We can't keep shifting the responsibility to different areas and expecting just one area to have the lower housing income in that area. And also we need to look at what do we have existing right now and what can we renovate and make better that's already existing right now. We don't have to build something from the ground up. If something's already there, let's work on it, let's fix it, and let's see what we can do.
Certainly. And for those who are living in maybe a precarious situation where they might be concerned they may become unhoused, many residents are struggling with rent increases and housing instability. Do you support stronger tenant protections? And if so, what would those look like?
I think we have to find a good balance of making sure that we protect the tenants, the renters, and also the smaller property owners, right, that are renting these out. We have to find a good balance. It can't just be from one end to the other, one extreme to one other. It has to be well balanced, and making sure that we do give the tenant rights, and we look at what we can do to make sure that we keep the rent low, whether there's different grants out there that we can offer, different subsidies, that we have to look at all the different options to make sure. And I'm always curious to why we have this issue and why the city council hasn't worked to make this issue, to find that better balance. And that's one of the things that I want to make sure is that if I'm elected, that I'm able to be open to that communication from not only from people who are in that precarious situation, but also from the property owners as well that are renting it out and what challenges they face. If we can address some of the challenges they face, they may not have to pass down that extra cost to the tenants, right? Mm-hmm. If they're facing certain challenges that the city can help with, then let's look at that, and let's look at what does the county offer, what does the state offer. We don't have to duplicate things that are already being done, right? If there's grants out there, there's programs out there, then let's look at those. We don't have to recreate the wheel, create something for Sacramento specifically and use our funds. If there's already something there, then we have to let people know and pass that knowledge on, let them know what's available and educate them.
Right. And when it comes to education about resources available to folks, I was interested in some of the points you made pertaining to environmental justice when it comes to expanding shade, improving cooling centers, strengthening flood preparedness, and encouraging energy efficient building standards. If you want to speak on that a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to look at all those things. I know like SMUD has a lot of incentive programs. They have a lot of programs out there to say, hey, you can get a thermostat for very low cost to help people maintain low energy costs in their homes, to evaluate things. We also need to look at where we're putting the cooling centers. It's great that we have cooling centers during the summer when it gets to, we know how Sacramento heat is. It's like 115, 110, and it can get really hot. But we need to put the cooling centers where it's easily accessible, where people can go and actually get there, and transportation for them to get there. If we're really being serious about getting people to the cooling centers or getting them to shady areas, how are these people going to get there, right? A lot of times say it's open, but then when you go to the cooling centers, maybe like 5-10 people there. So, I mean, we have to be realistic and not, I don't want to pander to people either. and virtue signal saying, hey, we're doing this, no, it's not about that. It's about, is it being effective and are we utilizing it correctly to really help people, to really make a difference? That's the main thing we got to look at. We can't just have a cooling center open and nobody shows up because it's too far away or it's not in a convenient place where there's bus routes or transportation that we can make available for people.
Mm-hmm. And that seems to parallel with your emphasis on data-driven solutions, that it's about numbers, it's about material impacts as opposed to maybe visuals, images, posturing.
It is, and that's the one thing I want to, emphasize is that I do have a lot of empathy for people. I do care about people. I do want to see people get into a better situation, but I don't see that the money that we're utilizing as a city is used correctly. I think there's a lot of wasteful money going on, and that it can be used at different places to make our neighborhoods a little bit better. A couple years ago, I got injured. And I was in a wheelchair, and I wanted to take my dogs to the park and walk with my wife, and it was not me walking, but just strolling along in the wheelchair. Sidewalks are uneven, sidewalks are broken. I had to go into the street just to get around certain areas that were just, broken, busted up sidewalks. The city doesn't come and repair it. Why? Why is it taking so long? And when they do come repair it, they don't repair it the right way. They leave it halfway finished. We have to look at the contractors, look at who we're contracting to do some of these projects, and why isn't it fully being completed? I don't understand that. We have a recent road on Franklin Boulevard, a little strip there, repaved it, looks great. So it's done, it's been done for a couple months. Why are the lines not drawn in there? So this past week, and it was raining like crazy, there was 3 accidents on Franklin because there's no lines there, and you just basically have little reflectors there, but when it's pouring rain, it helps to have the lines there. So how is the contractor for that, whoever the city contracted, not finishing the job? We had a sidewalk on East Parkway in Florin that looks like a year and a half they were working on the sidewalk. I know a lot of contracting people, family members that are contractors. I'm like, they could have had it done in 2 weeks, but it took almost a year and a half to do it, and I don't even want to imagine the cost. And all they did is put up, cones in the way and cause traffic when people are turning into East Parkway. And I want to make sure that when we look at these projects, we're looking at what's really effective, and how's it working, how's it impacting the neighborhood, the people, my neighbors, the people. That's what the main thing is. Then people get frustrated and get angry at City Council. Sacramento Bee came out with, they put an article out saying, I'm not quite sure who did the survey, I think it was a government survey, that I think the approval rate for City Council at 38%. So people out there are not happy with our city right now, with how we're being run and how things are being handled. And that's why I'm running. I want to be able to try to make a difference. Have empathy, but also have fiscal responsibility and do things the right way.
And you seem to be speaking to issues that are certainly having an impact and negatively affecting residents that are not being addressed. And at the same time, many folks are concerned about access to good paying jobs. How would you work to attract and retain jobs that provide livable wages for Sacramento residents?
I mean, I've worked, like I said, I've lived here all my life. I've worked, not only did I work in the public sector, I do work in the private sector as well. Big example is a big company in El Grove. It's not in my district, but Apple is there. They're a big company. They have a lot of jobs there. And I think we make it harder when we do things that we're not keeping in mind of the traffic flow to get to that company. They put the light rail, which was great, right there on Franklin Boulevard crossing, but it creates so much traffic in the morning that I know a lot of people that work at Apple, like, man, I gotta leave an extra 30 minutes earlier, be more time in traffic because I'm waiting for light rail. When the light rail is going, people are just waiting. And then it's a big intersection. But on the other intersection, where closer to Consumer River College, they actually put the train that goes around the traffic and it goes up and around. So there's no traffic being muddled or stopped there. So there's no foresight with some of these projects that we do of what we're trying to impact. We're not making it easier for people to go to Apple, making them late for work or whatever, causing more traffic down that way on Franklin Boulevard. We have to work hand in hand with the neighboring cities when we do some of these projects. If not, we just drive people out. we have big companies in Rancho Cordova that have call centers out there. In Folsom, there's call centers, Verizon, these big corporations that are there. We have to make sure that we have light rail that will go out to these companies from Sacramento, from downtown, from the south area, buses that will actually go out there, that it won't take you 2.5 hours to get out there. You know, maybe using the buses that have a direct line to a bigger company that has nonstop from here to Rancho Cordova to wherever they're going for their job and back into the south area. Making transportation is a huge thing and making it easily accessible. With gas prices going up, more people are going to want to take public transportation. And that's going to be one thing that we need to look at, make it more safer, more secure, and more affordable for people. And that's one of the things I want to do is that, yeah, we don't, as a city, we don't have much control over the gas prices or some of the things that happen on a national level, but let's control what we can control and what we can help people with. And by doing that, we help the corporations say, okay, we have a strong workforce, we have people that are going to be here and have easy access to the corporations. And I think that's one of the things that is going to attract it as well, knowing that they're contributing to the community and making them part of the community, making them have like a stake in Sacramento, not thinking of just another city, and then they can just go to, you know, move the corporation to another state. Make sure that they have buy-in to what we're trying to do and get them involved in the community aspect as well.
Thank you for that. And tying in as well, connecting back to affordability as well for your work as a council member. If you were to acquire the position, how would you ensure that Black, brown, and historically underserved communities have equitable access to housing, jobs, and city resources?
I think it's really important to educate people on what's already out there right now. For example, when I worked at the Student Aid Commission, I worked with a lot of families that didn't know about the Cal Grant, you know, about ways that they could, their kids that are in high school, how they could pay for college. And they thought it was impossible for them. They couldn't afford it because maybe they have enough saved or all that. So not only do I think of our minority, black, brown, I look at all the communities. I think in Sacramento was such a huge melting pot. We're so connected in different ways with the way we live. And so I don't think of us as more as, I don't like playing like identity politics. I look at my neighbor and I say, I want to help my neighbor no matter what. No matter what race, color, whatever you believe in, we have to show compassion and love. And I think that one of the ways is educating and use some of the experts that are in our area to help educate on how we can, you know, help build a resume, help find out about how you can help your kid go to college. You know, more education. I worked at the chancellor's office as well, the community college chancellor's office, and advise kids how they can get fee waivers for their books and for some of their classes and things like that. Some things that may seem common sense to maybe a lot of people, but for a lot it doesn't. We can't assume that just because we put a program out there or put a grant out there that people are going to know. They have to know how to access some of these things, where to go, how it works, and education is huge. And I think that's what we need to start, is educating the community on what is available out there. A lot of homeless people didn't even know, you know, where we talk about food banks and we talk about where they can go to get food, but we don't really, we just we put it on the news, but some of the homeless people don't have access to TV. They don't have access to a smartphone or even know where to look on a smartphone, look at what app to know. So we need to do more outreach where we can have community places like where you're at now and invite the community in and say, hey, let's talk about this. If you're worried about how to get a job, let's talk about it. What's hiring right now? Who's hiring right now? Not just a job fair, but getting prepared for a job fair is the main thing. So education to the community is huge.
Certainly. Thank you very much for your time, Santiago.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming out to discuss your platform and jumping into the Ring of Democracy with us.
I appreciate the opportunity. It's my first time doing this, so I'm nervous and excited, but I really appreciate it.
Oh, well, we're so glad we could give you a platform today. And if you want to just give a little summary again to folks about why they should vote for you, and then we will wrap up.
I want people to vote. I want to earn people's vote. I want people to take a look at my website, santiago4sacramento.com. I have a lot of information on there. You can also look me up on Facebook. It links from my website to the Facebook if you want. But know that I'm not taking any donations. Everything is from my own pocket that I'm investing in this. I'm invested in my community. I was born and raised here. I love Sacramento with all my heart. I want to see it do better. I've been to different cities and see how they operate. I have a lot of experience with working with different government programs, and I know how to make things run efficiently. And I just want to earn people's vote and get the chance to serve the city in the best way possible. Like I said, I'm not taking any donations. All I want is people's support, earn your vote. I don't want to be held to any unions or any corporations or anything like that, or any outside investors, or beholden to anybody. I only want to be beholden to my neighbors and the people of Sacramento, and to do the best that I can.
Thank you very much, Santiago. And thank you to the viewers as well for watching. We will be rolling out more interviews soon, unless they're all already out, in which case, go watch them. Yeah, thanks so much for talking about us today, and get out there and vote.